You can tell by my face, I'm so tired. Um, was up wrapping Christmas gifts until about 3 in the morning, and I had planned on letting myself sleep in, but then there was a windstorm and doors in our house whipped open. It was crazy. There was rain coming in. We had to like go out to the balcony, move things. Anyway, I'm tired, but we're here. And so today, like I mentioned, is day 8 of our holiday series to support you with feeling your best through the holiday season. Um, on Monday, I'm going live a little later than normal. I'll put a message out there what time I'm going live. But every day besides Monday, it's always at 10 a.m. Pacific. Minus today, it was about 10:15 because got to cut me some slack on Christmas Eve. there's a lot going on. I've just been so busy getting everything ready. Who else has been busy just doing all the things for the holidays and feeling a little stressed or overwhelmed at times? I know I feel that way. And we talk a lot about stress and overwhelm and managing anxiety and so forth. But one thing we don't talk that much about is the other emotions like, loneliness, depression, sadness, and holidays have an interesting way. I think for every moment of joy and connection, there can equally be a moment of like, let's say you've lost someone. There's been so much loss in our world recently with COVID. And even if it's not through COVID, just so much loss, right? Let's say you're in a position like me where you are across the country from your family or across the world from your family. And, I have my family here that I've created in San Diego, which I absolutely love with my partner and his family. And then there's always that part of me that feels like I'm kind of in two places, right? Like I want and I love nurturing this family here. And then I miss my family in Florida. And, yeah, we'll FaceTime, but it's different, right? And so, I think one cool thing with the holidays is there are those opportunities to connect. And then sometimes the holidays have a way of like magnifying, if you are feeling off in a relationship, if you're not where you want to be in a relationship, if you miss people, just all the things, right? So I want to talk a little bit just about some easy practical solutions that I feel like we like take for granted that they're there. And they're things that have really helped me and things that I hope to support you. And before I go there, I just want to express that if any of you is feeling anything but absolutely incredible and joy filled this holiday season, I just want to send you my love. Like I mentioned, I know, I'm wishing everyone a happy, Merry Christmas Eve and all the things, right? But I also know that loneliness or that sadness or those things can come with the holiday season too. So I just want to let you know, even though I'm just connecting with you virtually, me, the community, we're here for you. And I think that bridges into my first point is a lot of times when we're lonely, we feel like we don't want to burden people. We feel like, people have their own family, their own thing. We don't want to reach out. We feel like, oh, people aren't inviting me, people aren't including me. There's just all of these stories that we get into when we're feeling this way, right? And you know, I want to challenge you if you are feeling lonely or if you are feeling disconnected to push yourself out of your comfort zone and ask for some support or say hello. There are actually people, everyone's got even someone they can reach out to, even if it's on an anonymous chat forum, or in a Facebook group. I had a friend reach out to me the other day who's going through some stuff. She's feeling disconnected with her family. She's going through some health things, and she's not the type of person to normally ask for help. And she called me and she's like, I need to talk to you. And she just let me know what was happening. And I dropped everything. It was a really busy day. I dropped everything and went that day and just to go see her, and we hung out and we had a good time and it was good to connect and we both felt filled up from it. And, I'm not saying that I'm this amazing person that dropped everything. Like there's so many people that would do that kind of stuff. There's people that would say, just come over, there's people that would, even on FaceTime, one thing that's been really beautiful with being cross country from my family is the relationship I have with them now on FaceTime. I FaceTime my nephew all the time. He shows me everything. At least a few days a week we're on FaceTime. I'm on FaceTime with my mom, and it's just become a part of our daily life. So, is there anyone here that you can just FaceTime? Like, think right now, someone that would feel good to connect with. Can you FaceTime them? Can you send them a text or a voice note or whatever that is? One thing that's also really helped me is just not taking things personally if people aren't reaching out or if people are taking longer to respond or whatever that is. One unique thing that I think that happened with COVID is people kind of getting a little more isolated in their like nuclear unit or those few people that they're comfortable with and getting very like self-care, or like not in a self-absorbed way. It was just like the attention had to shift, right? And with the attention shifting, I know myself, like 90% of my focus is honestly on my nuclear little family unit and making sure we're good, especially with the holidays. And you know, I just have to imagine it's this way for many people. My check-in point with my friends is, there's been a lot of moving, there's been a lot of changes, there's been a lot of adjustments, there's been less social interaction. And so things have changed. And, as much as I think it's important we have compassion and empathy for ourselves through what we're going through, I'm really big, especially in this series, I'm like, what's that smallest doable step we can do to shift it? Is there one person you could reach out to? Or, don't rely on one. Is there 5 quick people you could text? I have a friend who reached out and I think she might be coming into San Diego. I'm not sure. Even though we're doing our family thing for Christmas Eve, like if she ends up coming, I'm going to say, come over. She's not intruding at all. I would love to see her. We can play some games, so I think there's a lot. I know for me, especially with moving, when I feel like there's a lot of crews that are already established in this little like entrepreneurial bubble where I live. And I'm sure they all like me. I like them, but I'm not like a part of the regular crew necessarily. And a lot of my friends have moved. So I would have this stuff come up like, well, why aren't they inviting me? Why aren't they doing this? And I was like, okay, I'll reach out to a couple girls and I'll organize something. And I did. And now we're meeting up weekly to co-work and work together. And so I was feeling lonely and isolated at my house working with my cat and dog all the time. And I, was like, and so now I'm going to meet up with friends and co-work weekly, and it might be one of other person, it might be 5 other people someday. It's going to be really casual. So there's just little pockets of people waiting for you. And sometimes it just takes you putting yourself out there. Another thing I just realized is, I got a really cool Christmas gift from my partner, and he knows I'm into horses, so he set me up with a opportunity to lease a horse, and I'm just so grateful. But I'm not saying you have to lease a horse to find community at Christmas time, right? But one thing that I'm really grateful for in the experience is like I just went to the barn 2 days, and since I work from home, I'm alone a lot, like a lot. And I crave that connection and stuff, but I'm kind of like lazy with it. I don't always reach out to people, that kind of thing. I get very in my routine. So one really cool thing is just I wouldn't have even thought about the social aspect, but there were really awesome people there and you're talking and so forth. So are there any groups you can join, right? Are there any meetups? Are there any events you've been procrastinating on? Like, is there any little thing or those kind of pockets? You never know who is waiting for you and what kind of connections are waiting for you, right? So I do think, managing loneliness and sadness and stuff, we can talk about the more emotional piece as well. But while we're having compassion for ourselves and working through the emotion, I want to encourage you to take those little mini action steps to create what you desire. I I I have this interesting belief. Do I believe that we are at the root cause of everything in our life? No. There's been tragic loss, right? There's catastrophic things. There are horrible things that happen. Part of the human experience is there's some beautiful ups and some really, really, really difficult downs. And sometimes you're in a place with loss or you're in a place with a difficult down where you don't have the strength to take any action, and that's okay. If you need to just be right now, You need to just be. But sometimes like that smallest little thing can kick the momentum going. I remember when I was dealing with symptoms of depression. I was never diagnosed with clinical depression. I largely think it was some toxicity stuff going on in my body and other things. And like my gut wasn't producing all the happy brain chemicals and all that stuff. But that's another conversation. Regardless, it manifested and looks like depression. And I was studying it because, many of our clients have either dealt with it or deal with it, and or anxiety, right? And the thing about depression, or the thing about when we're in that down state, is everything can feel like a mountain to climb, everything. And when we think about all the things we need to do, like the Christmas gifts and the reaching out to the friend and the like all the stuff, it just feels so difficult and we don't do it. And when you're in clinical therapy for depression, one of the things they do is they build momentum with like small doable things that you really know you can do. It's not even a challenging thing. It's like the smallest thing so you can get momentum. Like, I'm going to put water on my face this morning, or I'm going to brush my teeth tomorrow, right? And you write it down and you do that little thing and then you check it off. And that tells your brain, I did something, right? So that's why and doing something, moving through it, changing that state, getting out of that story of what's the point? This is so hard. All of those things, right? That is a huge part of what really can move someone out of some of those depressive states. Now, disclaimer, by no means am I saying someone can stop their clinical depression by doing things slowly. I would never say that. But what I'm saying is, don't be, this time of year especially, let's accept that we're not going to get everything done we want to do. Let's accept that all the areas of our life are not going to be balanced right now. Let's accept that, especially if there's been loss or something like that, we're going to feel off. And how do we meet ourselves in the offness, right? What is the smallest thing we can do to support ourselves? I practice that method often. Is so helpful. Thank you for sharing it with your group. You're welcome. You're welcome. And one thing that leads to emotional eating, I truly believe, is a disconnection with self, right? It is a inability to sit with, be with, process, and release emotions. And then what happens is emotions kind of work on a curve, right? So you get triggered, or you have the heightened emotion or whatever that is. And as it goes up, it gets intense, it gets intense, it gets intense. Right as it's about to come down and you're about to move through it, typically people will escape with something. They will escape with food while it's on the way up. They'll escape with, overeating. Scrolling social media is the thing I do. Drinking, going out, swiping on dating apps to people they don't even want to talk to. Nothing wrong with swiping, but like just the mindless, right? I don't know. Insert behavior that doesn't support you, or it could support you in a different way, but you're using it to numb, right? So what happens is we do this day in and day out. And I teach this in one of my programs. I learned it from an author, Debbie Ford, rest in peace, an amazing, amazing author, woman, activist, just wonderful. And she calls it the beach ball effect. And she says that stuffing emotions down, let's say with food, since we're here, is like trying to push a beach ball under the water. You're pushing, you're pushing, you're pushing. Sometimes you can get it down, but eventually it's going to explode up in your face. And her theory is this is why all kinds of catastrophes happen. Why someone in a loving marriage cheats, why, a kind person lashes out, why a person that's driving on the road that you never would think would has a horrible road rage instance, right? Sorry, I haven't eaten, haven't had coffee, had some water. That's about it. I did have green juice. I did have my green juice. So she talks about this beach ball effect, and she, it's what is happening is people are suppressing so much that boom, it explodes. And your explosion could be a big explosion, could be lashing out on your kids, could be being, snappy at your loved ones, or it could just be like that constant reaching for food. House gets quiet, you're with yourself, you go to food. Anyone do that? That used to be my thing. Nighttime eating for sure. Like when no one was around and I was just left with me. Oh my God, the cravings would get the cravings would get so crazy. So we've talked about this in the different self-care days of the series, but I want to remind you how important it is to practice that self-soothing and that emotional regulation. And we are not really necessarily taught how to do that. So this is that time you go back to those self-care principles that we talked about. What can you do in those moments, those heightened states of emotion that help you move through it? That question of, what do I need right now to support myself, right? How am I feeling? How am I feeling? Okay, I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling overwhelmed. And stepping away from the story, right? I'm feeling sad because I have no one for Christmas and I just broke up, or I'm not where I want to be in my relationship, or my life doesn't look like how it wants to. This is all the story. So a lot of times when people are observing or processing emotions, they're not observing and processing, they're just spinning in the story. So really, really, really practice when these emotions come up to step away from the story and just be with what is and let it go. Okay, sadness, pain, write it out in your journal, get it out of you, talk it out loud, get it out in your journal, dance it out, throw it out, jump up and down, jumping jack it out. I don't know what your thing is, right? But let it go. If you feel like you need a calmer release, write or speak or voice note. If you feel like you need a physical release, dance, stomp. I mean, I have literally done this to where I will play like I'm pulling the emotions out of me, throwing them on the ground and stomping on them. And I don't mean this we're not making our emotions wrong. I'm just releasing the things that aren't serving me and supporting me. I'm still being with my heart and being gentle. And that is a big part of the process. Like, what part of you is feeling this way, right? Is it that little girl part in you that needs a little love? Is that part of you? Is it a part of you that's afraid that you're not going to have what you want, or whatever that is, right? And really soothing and reassuring that part, then releasing what doesn't serve you. And after you go through this process, then move into what's going to support me. So if you're just feeling sad and you're like, I'm going to feel happy, how am I going to feel better? You're bypassing the whole emotion, the whole being with your emotions, right? So we want to be with, what's on my phone? I don't know what's going on. We want to be with what's happening. We want to reassure that part of ourselves that is having a hard time. We want to send it love. We want to release and let it go and change our state. And then once we're in that clear, and then we want to recenter and check in, what is going to support me right now, right? I used to never think I had time for like baths, for example. And like when I was chilling on the couch at night, the last thing I would want to do is go do a bath, right? But I've been taking a couple times a week Epsom salt baths. And let me tell you, feels like they pull like everything out of you. So if you need a bath at the end of the day, if you don't have time for a bath and you need to just lay on the floor, if you need to listen to a song, like do those things that nourish and care for you regularly. I feel like I've talked about this so much in this series. So if you're on again, you're probably like, we get it, Brittany. But just remember that those little small doable steps are so important. Tanya says, life is complete when there's sadness and joy. Good vibes only is just fake as everything is bad. Balance always. Yes. Yes. Yeah. So Tanya is, she's in our food freedom group. Hi, Tanya. Thanks for being here. Tanya has been on the team supporting our community for so long. She's a coach, a breathwork facilitator. She went through all of our programs, Food Freedom Forever, Baby EB. So shout out to Tanya. I love that perspective. And it's true. You're not just always feeling great. You're not just always feeling up. You're not just always feeling happy. Like the human experience is the pain and the sadness and so forth. And that doesn't mean we like it. But if we spend our life trying to avoid it, we're literally missing out on the human experience. And one quote that really stuck with me is, this isn't the quote, but the theory is, you don't just numb the darkness. You never just numb the dark. You never just numb the sadness. You never just numb the loneliness. When you try to numb, when you try to escape, you numb the light. You numb the joy. You don't just eat your way through loneliness and then get to be happy, right? Or scroll or self-sabotage or whatever that is. It numbs it all. And then we walk through life not feeling like our full, vibrant self. And I don't want that for you or that for anyone. And I also want to remind you that if you are in a bad spot and you need a coping tool, like you just want to sit down and have a good meal and indulge and chill, and you make that choice, like, you know what? I there's a difference between disconnected emotional eating and connected emotional eating. So, disconnected would be not thinking about your emotions or feelings at all, getting home from the Christmas party, eating a bunch of food, and just being in a coma and feeling awful, right? That is disconnected emotional eating. Connected emotional eating is, oh my God, what a stressful day. I just want to chill out. I want to watch like my favorite Christmas show or my favorite Netflix show. I just want to chill. I'm going to get a nice meal. I want it to be like hearty and satiating. I want to feel super satisfied, and I want to just chill. That is emotional eating because you're making an emotional decision, but it's supportive emotional eating, right? So I don't want you to think that, oh no, I can't choose to eat emotionally. Like, it's okay, but I just want it to be a choice for you. I don't want it to be this autopilot type behavior that doesn't ultimately support you. So I hope this helped. And I hope this is supportive. I want to say Merry Christmas Eve to everyone who's celebrating. Happy holidays to everyone who's not celebrating Christmas. Happy Hanukkah, happy everything. Like I said, this time is a joy-filled time of year, but can also be really hard if you're missing someone, or if it can reflect back to us some things as well. So, be with yourself through the pain and the emotions of it all. And once you move through and once you're with yourself and you give yourself what you need, I do also encourage you to take a little action, that one mini next step, to either support you in building the community, to reach out to someone you love, to build a connection, to start a hobby, to take care of yourself, to say no to everything and just take care of you, to cancel if you don't want to go to something and it's not going to be good for you, to honor your mental health. Your range of self-care could look so different depending on who you are. And while the holidays are about connecting with others and loved ones and all of these things, just don't forget about you in the process. So I hope this was helpful today. I'm going to go make a little Christmas Eve breakfast for my man and finish wrapping and maybe wash my face and get myself awake. I've been up so long, but I still feel tired. Does anyone ever feel like that? I've been up since, I don't even know. But I feel like I could nap while I'm talking. So I hope this was a cohesive message. Regina says, Merry or Happy Holidays. You too, Regina. She replying to Tanya, you definitely relish the good after you've had some sadness. Yes, it's the duality of life that is so important. Thank you for all the Christmas wishes, ladies and everyone, gentlemen too, on Instagram. Oh, you're welcome, Raquel. I'm so happy that this is supportive. I hope this lesson was helpful. And just wishing everyone a really, really beautiful holidays. I'll post what time I will be live on Monday. It's going to be later in the day, probably like around 3 p.m. Pacific on Monday. And then every other day is 10 a.m. So I'll post what time I'm going live then. All right. Happy holidays. I will talk to you all on Monday, and I'll probably be on social media outside of that too.